So when I was 19, I was an intern on the Obama campaign in Pennsylvania. And during my last week, Michelle Obama was scheduled to come to Philadelphia for a speech. Now, my boss told me that the First Lady staff needed volunteers to help out with the event, and that if I volunteered, I would get to meet and take a photo with the First Lady. So I was pumped, and I told everyone in my office that I had one mission: to make Michelle Obama laugh, which is a risky goal. Because sometimes when I try to come up with clever jokes to make people laugh, they don't laugh. For example, just recently my coworkers were talking about the breaking news. Someone had found white supremacist Richard Spencer's Tinder profile and posted it online. So I said, I bet he's a real freak in the sheets. Which is a brilliant KKK joke because of the sheets. But no one got that part. Instead, one of my supervisors said to me, Cody, you're Jewish. Why are you fantasizing about a white supremacist sex life? And I was like, happy Passover, everybody. So I wanted to tell Michelle Obama a joke, just probably not one like that. The morning of the event, I arrived at the airport to join up with the First Lady's motorcade, and that's when one of the Secret Service agents tossed me a set of car keys. It turns out that volunteering does not mean riding in the motorcade. It means driving one of the cars in the motorcade, and not just any car, a 15-passenger van going up to speeds up to 90 miles per hour, carrying the First Lady's staff directly behind the First Lady's vehicle on the Philadelphia freeway, which is covered in drivers from Philadelphia. Now, I'm from Ohio, and those of us from the Midwest drive the same way we have sex. We take our time. We're not afraid to ask for directions. We apologize for everything. Sometimes we like to have John Mayer playing in the background. Whereas people from Philadelphia just want to get there as quickly as possible, and they drive the same way. That one took a second. It wasn't just Philly drivers that I was worried about. This was a 15-passenger van. And to that point, the biggest car I had driven was a 1998 Volvo station wagon. In fact, when I drove that station wagon in high school, some of my classmates told me that I looked like a soccer mom and drove like a soccer mom, which is insulting to soccer moms. But as I processed this news, one of the Secret Service agents gathered the volunteers in a circle. He said, okay, listen up. Number one rule of being in a motorcade: you do not stop for any reason. A stopped vehicle is a sitting duck for an attack. If a car tries to get between you and the motorcade, you cut that fucker off. If you have to pee, you piss your pants and you keep going. And if your phone rings and it's your girlfriend, and then he looks over at me and goes, you know what? Never mind. Which hurt a little bit. But finally, the First Lady's plane arrived, and this whole time, I'm still running through joke themes in my head that I think she might appreciate. She was a big proponent of nutrition, and she put in a White House vegetable garden, so I thought maybe something like, what's your favorite vegetable? Broccoli? But I thought that was too corny. I'm sorry, it's an addiction, okay? First Lady's plane arrived and we went out to the cars, and there was a police escort, First Lady's car, my car, a car full of reporters, and a sweep car. A sweep car is like something out of an action movie. It's just this black Chevy Suburban filled with big guys with big guns that sweep in and out of the motorcade, protecting its right and left flank. And no one had told me who I would be driving from the First Lady's staff. I didn't find out until 3 people opened the car doors and got inside. They introduced themselves as Johnny, Meredith, and Carl. I said, "What do you do for the First Lady?" And they said, "We're her policy advisors for gay and transgender policy." I said, "Oh, cool." And as we were sitting waiting for the motorcade to leave, I really wanted to look professional for them and for the Secret Service. So I had my hands at 10 and 2, and I had my posture at a 90-degree angle, and I just had this expression on my face that said, Michelle Obama's gay and transgender policy advisors are going to be safe because no one fucks with this soccer mom. Finally, we got the signal to leave, and we got on the highway, and I started talking to the policy advisors about the upcoming Supreme Court cases and how great it was that we repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And just as I was starting to relax, I've Got Your Body as a Wonderland playing in my head, I see this Chevy Impala on my left with its blinker on trying to change lanes. And for a split second, I forgot I was in a motorcade because my Midwestern manners kicked in, and I motioned the Impala into the motorcade. Yeah, that was the Secret Service's reaction too. And the policy advisors are going, "Cody, you can't let that guy in." But before I could speed up and fix my mistake, the sweep car came out of nowhere, boxed the Impala out, nearly rammed it up against the median. And this big guy with his big gun leans out the window and motions to the Impala driver, "Get in that fucking lane!" Now I'm gonna be honest with you. In that moment, I peed a little bit. Because I follow directions. Now, by the time we arrived at the event, I'd been so distracted by the Fast and Furious action sequence on the highway that I'd forgotten to come up with a joke or pun for Michelle Obama. So as they led me backstage for the photo, my mind was racing for something clever to say, and by the time I knew it, it was my turn, and she was waving me over. And all I could think in that moment is, she seems a lot taller in person. She's listed as 5'11" on Wikipedia, and I'm listed as the same height on Tinder. So I went up to her and I said, "It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Obama. I look up to you." Which is not funny or clever. And she confirmed this when she did not laugh. Instead, she looked away for a second, then she looked back at me and said, "What, was that a joke?" Which is the worst thing someone could say to you after you tell them a joke, other than maybe, "Why are you fantasizing about a white supremacist sex life?" So I was like, "I'm really sorry. I like bad puns and stuff, and I meant to come up with something better." And that's when she said, "Well, I won't look down on you for it." That's right. I challenged Michelle Obama to a pun-off. I had all day to prepare. She had a split second, and she destroyed me. At that moment, our volunteer coordinator jumped in and said, "Mrs. Obama, Cody's one of your motorcade drivers." She said, "Oh, great. Thanks for all your hard work. Who are you driving?" And I said, "Your gay and transgender policy advisors." And she said, "Who?" And I said, You're gay and transgender policy advisors, Johnny, Meredith, and Carl." And she just starts laughing uncontrollably. And I don't know why. I'm thinking maybe she's laughing at the pun from earlier. But then she regained her composure and said, "Those are my stylists." They do my hair and makeup. I think they were pranking you. I was like, "Oh, that makes more sense. Well, your hair looks great." And she was like, why don't we take the photo?" So we took the photo, and I was mortified, and as I was walking back to the motorcade, all I could think is, how did I not know they were pranking me, and why didn't I use the broccoli pun instead? But I couldn't be mad at Johnny, Meredith, and Carl because in the end, they were the reason I accomplished my mission. I made the First Lady laugh. And even though she was laughing at me, that's nothing to look down on. Thank you.